It was only 2 months ago that I've left my corporate job earning me a $3,700 income monthly, and this was how I planned my finances, or rather I wanted to be relatable to you guys besides the fact that I was earning an income from YouTube. In today's video, I'll share with you how my expenses were like when I was only earning income from my day job, working a 9 to 6 corporate life, and how I've saved up so much eventually as well. It's very much possible, so if you have just started working and you are still planning your finances, seeing how it will be like to save towards your future, watch to the end of today's video. I hope it will be helpful for you. Let's go. Just to give those of you who are new to the channel a little bit of a timeline. In April 2022, I started my YouTube journey, but as a new content creator, you don't have any income coming in from YouTube because you haven't hit the monetization requirements, and I've only gotten there in December 2022, of which I started earning an income in January 2023. So in this spreadsheet that you see right over here, it doesn't include anything from YouTube besides the fact that people were buying my spreadsheet as I documented my Money Diary series. So even right now, as of today, you can find my spreadsheet listed on Coffee if you think that it's helpful for you to be able to manage your finances all in one place on an Excel sheet. You don't want to do it for yourself, a template, you can go over to Coffee and get my annual budgeting spreadsheet. In 2022, I was taking home a salary of $2,680. Monthly, I was saving about 50 to 60%. I was on an aggressive savings journey, limiting myself to only spending $400 a month. But most of the month, I've actually busted my budget, spent like $500 to $600. And even then, I've heard that it was very low, and I do agree as well, because right now when I look back, I honestly don't know how I've kept to such a low budget every single month, but a few reasons. Back then, COVID happened, and also because in 2022, I was still mainly working from home. Most of my meals are settled at home. I'm a very simple person. I can just survive on rice, eggs, seaweed, a combination of like bibimbap rice, and I won't get bored of it. So even up until today, when I'm living alone here on Jeju Island, I'll just show you some of the meals that I've had here. This is how I keep my expenses low. And in addition to that, when I go out, the things that I would splurge on is desserts. So scones, bread, coffee. I don't shop as often as well. If there are things that I need to buy, then I'll buy. The thing that I would splurge on is saving up for traveling trips that I would take with my friends or with my mum. So that was how I spent my money. And in September 2022, last year, I departed for South Korea and I worked remotely for a period of time. I've also had a video combining how much I've spent in one entire month living in South Korea. I'll put the video up above and also down below. My total savings rate every single month was roughly about 40 to 60%. If you see how I've saved so much, my variable expenses was very low. I kept myself to a budget of only $400, but every single month I have burst my budget. Later parts of the year in 2022, I've managed to keep it at $600 to $700 while I was overseas. Fixed expenses, as the name goes, it is fixed expenses. So an example of what my fixed expenses is like, if you take a look at April's spreadsheet, you can see that I have my life insurance, my endowment plan, my phone bills, Spotify, iCloud, and also an installment that I was paying off for my mom's iPhone, and also the camera that I've bought. Even up until today, minus away the installments, these are all the fixed expenses that I'm still paying for. I have trimmed down in terms of my phone bill. I was paying $18 monthly previously, but right now it's only at $10 per month. It is this kind of things that you can trim down. But take for example, insurance payments, the monthly recurring, if not annual premiums, is what you have to pay for consistently. So fixed expenses is something that you must pay off, which is how I usually budget. So when I receive an income, I minus away my fixed expenses, and that is how I decide how much I can save and also spend for my variable expenses. This is an example of how my variable expenses was like in April 2022, and I've only spent $361.32. A little bit of an extreme that I only spent eating out $72, transportation $54, shopping $66. And if you take a look at my expense tracker, I didn't spend a lot, mainly because of the reason that if I go out for work, I pack food from home, either mixed rice, if not I'll bring Weet Bix and also some bread along, like a sandwich, and that will make me full for the day. And thereafter, once I go home for dinner, my mom cooks, so I don't spend a lot. And breakfast is at home as well, so that is how I kept my expenses low. Entertainment, not much. I don't really go out as often as well. If you were to call it a lack of a social life back then, because I was also working to build up YouTube. So every Sunday my routine was I would stay home and do YouTube videos, and Saturday was the day that I would meet my friends and go out. On the weekdays, I stayed home. My own daily routine is that I don't like to stay out late at night because it will affect how I feel the next day. My social battery dies out very fast. In short, I'm an extreme introvert. I guess that is a good thing that it helps me to save money. And for giving allowance to parents, I think this is very sensitive and also very subjective. Take for example, in my own family situation, my parents do not need any money from me. Whenever I have extra, they want me to save towards my future, and that is why allowance to parents is a little bit more like a thank you, a gesture. Don't flame me in the comment section. It's just that every single family functions differently. If you have parents who want you to give them, then definitely give, because they have taken so much years and effort to raise you up. It's something that is understandably a thing that has to be given to parents. It's very subjective and sensitive. I'm not going to go into that, but for my case is that I only have to give as a form of thank you gesture, like a 意思 kind of thing. So that is my own family circumstances. Every single person is different, and how you manage it is also subjective. Right now, let's go into 2023, how I would manage my finances based on my last drawn salary of $3,700, and how I will use the $3,700 income, budget it monthly, and save towards 100k by 30 years old. It's very much possible. Let me share with you the breakdown today. Let's go. Learning how to budget is important, but optimizing your idle cash is also just as important while you're out having fun with your friends or you're out at your 9 to 6 job. Your money working for you, giving you daily interest is something you should look into as well. And two platforms I would think of apart from banks giving you high interest in this high interest rate environment right now. UOB Bank is one that you can look at, giving you pretty high interest if you can credit your salary, spend with the bank. Next up, there is also Syfe Cash Plus Guaranteed, giving you 3.7% guaranteed returns for your amount locked away for 3 months. Next to that, there is also Moomoo's Cash Plus promotion for new users, giving you 5.8% per annum interest for a maximum deposit of $80,000, and minimum is anywhere above 1 cent. So this is for new users, 5.8% per annum guaranteed interest. They're crediting it daily to you, and the difference to make it up to 5.8% per annum interest, they will top it up at the end of the 30 days period. So new users to Moomoo's platform or Syfe Cash Plus Guaranteed, details will all be down in the description box below. I'm not going to go into it here because it's very long, but I do have dedicated videos for all of them. If you're looking to optimize your cash, your idle cash, take a look down in the description box below. I have dedicated videos for that. Now let's get back into today's video. Let's go. My last drawn salary at my corporate job was $3,700. After minusing away CPF, I was receiving a take-home pay of $2,960. This is how I was managing my finances. I would usually count fixed expenses first before deciding how much can I save and also accommodate for my variable expenses. So my fixed expenses as compared to 2022 is pretty much the same. I was paying for my insurance premiums, my hospitalization plan, accident plan, my phone bill, which I've cut down from $18 in 2022 to only $10 in 2023, Spotify, iCloud, and allowance to my mum, and also Netflix subscription. Netflix subscription is something new because now you can no longer share it with people from different households. I signed up for my own plan, of which I'm using it together with my mum. So my fixed expenses monthly was at $487.51. I did not factor in the endowment plan over here if you look at my usual money diary series. So endowment plan is something that I'm paying monthly as well. It costs $200 over. That is somewhat like a savings towards my future, of which once it matures, I'll be able to receive one lump sum. After deducting away fixed expenses, I'll be left with $2,472.49. This salary of $3,700, I think it's pretty much relatable to those of you who are fresh graduates or you have been working for a period of time now. You receive some form of increment depending on the industry that you're at. Also, drawing $3,000 over is pretty relatable to people in their 20s. After accommodating for my fixed expenses, what I usually do is go straight into budgeting for my variable expenses, because I know I'm a person who doesn't spend a lot on myself, or I won't be prone to the fact that I would splurge every single month. But for those of you who are new to budgeting, I would encourage you to save first. Decide on an amount that you want to set aside to save up, then decide how much you can spend on monthly. Force yourself to save as much as possible while you're still young, because your future self will look back and thank you a lot for it. Honestly, when I look back in my younger days, at 20, 21 years old, or even younger when I started getting money from my part-time jobs when I first started my full-time job. I wished I would have saved more, because being able to reach a certain level in terms of your own financial circumstances, it can be very liberating. I do have a video coming up talking about empowerment from being financially independent. I'll share with you guys then how it will change your life, because it has truly changed mine at the age of 27 years old. Budget and save first, and then go into your variable expenses. Decide how much you can spend on monthly. I have in total budgeted for $550 for my breakfast, lunch and dinner, but in my own circumstance is that breakfast and also dinner, most of the time I have it at home. Breakfast is usually bread with jam and also coffee, and for dinner I don't usually eat much for dinner. So if you see in my life in Jeju video, I don't usually have much for dinner. I will snack for dinner and I'll have a filling lunch. So breakfast, bread, then lunch, a filling one, and for dinner I don't really eat a lot. I snack most of the time. $550, I think it's pretty reasonable. Factoring in for you guys who go into the CBD area, office areas for lunch, $10 per meal, and during the weekends you can adjust accordingly. I know people enjoy during their weekends, go out, go to restaurants, go to cafes, and work around with what you have, and as much as possible try to cut down on other areas that you won't spend on. For example, I'm willing to spend on food, but I cut down on other areas like taking cabs or shopping for things that I want. I cut down on that and I spend more on areas that I enjoy more or bring me more satisfaction, which is food. Public transportation, if you're a person who travels a lot, the adult concession pass is at $128. Looking back at my previous expenses when I traveled to and fro from work, per day it cost me $3 and if I factor that in every single day, Monday to Friday, to and fro from work, it will cost me like $70 and if you factor in the weekends for public transportation, I don't think that will be a lot as well. So if you cannot hit the $128 for adult concession pass, you think it's not worth it, you actually spend lesser, then go ahead and just use your card to pay and clock for the public transportation expense instead of buying the adult concession pass. Cab and car sharing is very common these days. People take a lot of cabs, you Grab, Gojek around, and also Blue SG, Get Go. So these are the things that people usually spend on, that is the big killer in our budgeting. If you can allot for more time to be able to take the public transportation, and honestly you will really save a lot. I have friends who spend hundreds of dollars on cabs, and honestly that is really the killer. I mean, it really depends on what you value. If you value saving time taking cab and you're willing to spend on that, then go for it. This is my own personal finance mindset or habit. And that is how I've attained 100,000 by the age of 27 years old. More than having side hustles that will bring in more income for me, if I do not have good money habits to be able to retain the income that I make, I will not be able to save 100,000 by the age of 27 years old. If you want to spend more in one area, cut down on other things that you don't necessarily need. And then shopping, I just budgeted for $100. In total, just based on how much I budget with my $3,700 salary, I'll be able to save 57.25%, and that is $1,694 monthly. This is very much possible with a $3,700 salary. After CPF, it will be like $2,960 per month you're taking home, and after allocating for various things in your life, you'll be able to save like 50%. It's very much possible. And if you aim to save $1,700 every single month, yearly you'll be saving $20,400, and in 5 years you will hit your 100k goal. For girls, you probably will start at the age of 21 years old, and for guys, you will start after army. You'll probably be able to reach the 100k by 30 goal even before you reach 30 years old. It's possible, but you do need to have the habit of saving. There are times when I do splurge as well. When I compare my finances back then in 2021, 2022, I do splurge some of the months, and you make room for yourself to be able to do that as well, because I mean, at the end of the day, what is life if you are just saving, scrimping on every single thing, right? You should be able to let yourself enjoy once in a while. That being said, once in a while, not every single day you go out, it will cost you like $50, $100 each time. Maintain basically, as Singlish as this sounds, just maintain whatever that you can spend on and think towards your future. That is why I always mention, have the bigger goal in mind. What exactly are you saving up for? A house, a family, having kids in the future, or you just want a life that, you know, you can live comfortably and retire as soon as possible? If you have that in mind, you'll be able to budget and manage your finances accordingly, and that is how I made it easier for myself. So this is what worked for me. At the end of the day, personal finance is very individual. Down the road when you are 50, 60 years old, how do you want to be spending your time? How much do you want to be able to fund your life at that point in time when you're 50 to 60 years old? So this is how I manage my finances, and how you can also reach 100,000 before the age of 30 years old. That is all I have for today's video. This is how you can also manage your finances with a $3,700 salary. A lot of people these days, they're actually earning a lot more depending on industries as well. How you manage your finances is the most important thing at the end of the day. So think in the bigger perspective, what goal are you saving up for? Have that in mind, and that will determine how you are spending every single day. Because I have the bigger goal in mind that I don't want to be working for the rest of my life. I don't want to live 9 to 6, work, go home, rest, weekend, enjoy, and then Monday to Friday grind again. That is not the life that I want, and that is why I force myself to save as much right now and hopefully be able to retire earlier or fund the life that I want for myself, which is currently what I'm trying out. If you have anything to ask or you just want to send me a message, you can do so on my Instagram. I reply to every single one of my DMs, and that's all for today's video. Let's grow together in our own personal finance journey, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.